Welcome back to Real Shift, where we like to talk real shit all day, every day, all for the love of movies. I am Joe. Before I get into it today, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Any little bit of feedback or support would be greatly appreciated. Without further ado, I'm going to get right into it because this is one juicy news item that I have for you today. So apparently, Michael Keaton is in negotiations to once again return to the role of Batman in the upcoming Flash movie. This is something that I did not expect to read at all today. It definitely kind of came out of left field. I don't remember hearing anything rumor-wise about this being in the works, but apparently it is. And should be considered a rumor too, I guess, until we hear a definitive announcement from the studios or from Michael Keaton himself or something. But apparently, the story revolves around a Flashpoint-esque type narrative where essentially the Flash is going to attempt to save his mother's life and in effect create a alternate, I guess you could say, reality. And basically in this reality, apparently according to these reports, Michael Keaton's Batman, who he hasn't been Batman since 1992's Batman Returns, apparently he's going to rule or be in charge of, or whatever the case may be, that version of that reality that Flash creates. And I think that is just such a cool idea. I've been saying for a while that I feel like Flashpoint is probably the best option for WB at this point, considering that their universe is pretty much in flux. They could take it much like Fox did with Days of Future Past and the X-Men franchise. They could use Flashpoint as kind of a reset button, and basically they can make the DCEU pretty much anything they wanted to. They could drop characters out, they could replace them with different actors, whatever the case may be. They could pretty much do whatever they want if they handled it properly and they used Flashpoint to their advantage. That's something that I thought about for a while. Now, if they were going to go the more traditional route for Flashpoint, I even thought it would be great because Wonder Woman and Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman and Jason Momoa as Aquaman are both pretty much universally liked and loved, and people like their movies, so it would make sense for them to kind of use those two as anchors moving forward. And Flashpoint, of course, as you know, has they're a huge presence in that story. But it appears, and that still may happen, we don't know the whole story, but it appears that the selling point, or the big thing that they're trying to sell this movie on, is the return of Michael Keaton as Batman. Why that's significant? Well, apparently, if you know anything about Flashpoint, it's Thomas Wayne usually who it's Thomas Wayne's Batman, who is the one that's created in the Ultimate Universe. In this alternate universe, of course, Bruce dies. Thomas Wayne becomes Batman, a ruthless Batman, and Martha Wayne becomes Joker. So everybody thought it was an obvious choice, considering the beginning of Batman vs. Superman, to use Jeffrey Dean Morgan and I forget her name, but Maggie from The Walking Dead. So that was probably going to be the obvious choice, but apparently they're going to switch it up a little bit, go in a different direction. But I kind of like it, and here's the reason why. To me, WB should be doing stuff like this. They have this wealth of already established characters in their catalog, from Michael Keaton's Batman to Christopher Reeves' Superman. I'm not sure how they would do that, but they could make it work somehow. They could use everything. Everything is at their disposal, and it seems like they've been playing it relatively safe recently, and I think a move like this could definitely set them apart. I mean, this kind of casting choice or this kind of story direction would definitely get people talking again. It'll get people interested. And I mean, outside of, obviously, Christian Bale has his support, Ben Affleck has his support, and even Adam West has his support, but Michael Keaton has a lot of support from people, including myself. He was basically my Batman growing up as a little kid. I mean, I pretty much recognize Christian Bale as my Batman at this point, but Michael Keaton is still a one Batman in my personal opinion. Like, he's 1A, 1B as far as I'm concerned. So to see the possibility of maybe getting a continuation of his story and maybe finding out what happened to his version of the character after Batman Returns, because it feels like, I think, and even in the story it said they're gonna ignore Batman Forever and they're gonna ignore Batman and Robin, which I think is obviously a great choice. No disrespect to Joel Schumacher, who passed away. I mean, but let's be honest, the Michael Keaton Batman is the one we want again, and that's the one we're apparently going to get. And he's obviously going to be an older version of the character, unless they're going to de-age him somehow. I don't know. That really wasn't covered in the article, but it'd be interesting to see how his character has progressed. Now, one little minor detail that is kind of throwing me off a little bit is the idea that apparently this new reality that Flash creates is ruled by Michael Keaton's Batman. So that leads me to believe that maybe he's not necessarily the Batman from Batman 89 and Batman Returns. Like, it's almost a different person altogether. I don't know if it's going to be that exact character or how they're going to, I guess, explain how the 89 Batman is able to exist with whoever's Batman in the DCEU right now. But that's all things they're going to have to cover. And again, it'll have a lot to do with Flash messing with the timeline. And more than anything, I think it's important that DC does introduce the multiverse, because, like I said, it opens up so many possibilities. I mean, a lot of people for a long time have petitioned for a Batman Beyond movie with Michael Keaton as old Bruce Wayne teaching young Terry McGinnis. And I'm one of those people. I think it would be a great idea. And it's a movie that could be in an alternate universe but still exist within the framework of what they're trying to build inside the multiverse. And I always thought that'd be a great idea. And this kind of is the beginning stages of that. And it's a chance for them to do something that I don't think any, at least that I can think of, that I don't think comic book movies has necessarily covered yet. I mean, the multiverse has been covered in the CW shows, and I'm not sure if it's been covered in Marvel or not. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not really sure how extensively it's been covered. I think this is going to be the first time that it's actually taking a actor from a older version of the franchise that they're doing and merging it with a current franchise. And I think that is brilliant, and I think that's kind of the next stage of movies, because we've gotten to the point now where crossovers and shared universes are become like the norm, and they've become the thing that people lean on now with these big franchises. And now this is something different because it's actually crossing two different franchises over. Yes, it's both Batman, and yes, it's DC, and yes, they go together anyway, but for all intents and purposes, Michael Keaton's version of the character existed in his own universe, separate from everyone else. There was no Superman, there was no Flash, there was no Aquaman, there was no Wonder Woman. It was just him in that universe in Gotham. So to combine two different franchises, it really excites me. And this is coming from someone who's kind of been turned off by comic book movies lately because they've just been so cookie cutter, so by the numbers, and just, it seems like they're almost uninspired, I guess you could say. This is an inspiring decision to me, and it's going to be directed by It Chapter 2 director, which I think is a good choice also. I enjoyed It Chapter 2, very much so. So it'll be interesting to see the story that he's crafted here and how he reintroduces Michael Keaton, if this actually goes through. Now, as far as what I would like to see from the movie, I mean, obviously, I don't know how much we're actually going to see, if at all, we're going to see Keaton actually in the Batsuit and maybe more of a Bruce Wayne situation. I'm not really sure. Again, I don't know if they're de-aging him or if he's actually going to be old. But I would kind of like to see him in the suit at least one more time, whether he's old or young. It would just be really cool. And especially the Batman Return suit, which, for anyone who has ever heard me talk about it, I think the Batman Return suit is actually one of the best Batman suits ever. And yes, it is slightly different than the Batman 89 suit, and I just think the Batman Return suit just looks awesome, and it's so sleek and well put together. And they kind of tweaked it a little bit and fixed things that weren't as great in the 89 version. So it would be nice to see him in a version of that suit again. And they could go the whole 9 yards. They could bring back the old Batmobile, which would be great. They could bring back the Danny Elfman theme, which they tried to do in Justice League, but it didn't work because that theme is attached with Michael Keaton's version of the character. You can't just take that theme and just slap it on any Batman. I don't think it really works that way. The closest would be the animated series Batman, because it's a variation of that theme, but for the most part, that theme is definitely attached to Keaton and Tim Burton's version. It would also be cool, mentioning Tim Burton. Now, I don't think he's involved in the movie at all, but it would be kind of cool if Andy Muschietti, I think his name is, the director of this movie and writer, I believe, it would be cool if he got his input as far as creating the world. Maybe having that kind of gothic look that he had in Batman 89 and bringing that back in this movie and creating it and almost making it a continuation of those two movies. I think that could be really cool with updated production design and updated CGI even, and be able to have Ezra Miller's Flash actually in the world of Batman 89 or Batman Returns. I think that would be really cool if they're able to replicate the Gotham City that, to me, is probably the best Gotham City ever put on film, because it just fits what we think of Gotham so well. I mean, the Dark Knight trilogy obviously went in a realistic tone with it. I don't think we get to see enough of it in Batman vs. Superman or anything from the DCEU. But the Batman 89 Gotham, I think, is definitely one of the best. So it would be cool to see all these elements that were created by Michael Keaton and Tim Burton's version of the character make a return. And I'm excited. I don't get excited about news like this very often, but I'm very excited about this. I'm looking forward to see how they integrate him into this universe and how this all plays out. Oh, and I forgot to mention, of course, before I stop, will there be, I guess, hints at the past villains from Keaton's Batman as well? I mean, will we get hints about Jack Nicholson's Joker, or at least nods to it, or possibly Penguin, or even Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman? I mean, that might be a little bit too much for one movie, I think, and probably won't happen, but they don't have to be cameos necessarily. It could just be like little nods here and there. It's going to be filled with Easter eggs, I'm sure, and that's another thing that kind of excites me as a fan, because obviously I'm a huge Batman fan. I mean, I'm building a Batcave in my basement as we speak, so this is something that really excites me for sure. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think about it, though. Are you as excited as I am? This, to me, is the best news to come out of DC in a long time, so let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. We'll continue discussion down there. I'd love to talk to anyone about this and get your thoughts on it. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.